Ready?
Yes.
Good evening and welcome to the Watsonville City Council meeting. Would we start with roll call, please?
Cervantes,
Here.
Kaufman Gomez,
Present.
Dutra,
Present.
Garcia,
Here.
Hernandez,
Here.
Hurst, Bielisich.
Present, thank you. And we will, if you would please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. And tonight we will start with presentations and oral communication. First from the public. If anyone has anything that they would like to address the council on that is not on the agenda, if you would please step forward and address us, we would appreciate it.
Good evening, Council. I'm Rhea DeHart, District 7, and I would like to talk to you tonight about the fact that we do have a tip line for people to report suspicious activity to the Watsonville Police Department. And it's been advertised, but for people who do not have cell phones or they don't text, I would like to give you the number that you can use a regular phone and call in any suspicious activity. 728-3544. 728-3544. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Good evening. I'm Maria Elena de la Garza, the Executive Director to the Community Action Board. I thank you for a few minutes during public comment. I wanted to invite you to our CAB open house, which will be held on April 22nd, so a week from tomorrow, from 4:30 to 6:30 at our CAB offices at 406 Main Street. And it's an open house, so it's a meet and greet. So come by, get some good food, meet some of our staff, our volunteers, and our board. And this is one of the activities leading up to our huge celebration on September 10th to celebrate our 50th anniversary, which I'm happy to report will be held in the Watsonville Civic Community Room. So yay. I hope to see you on Wednesday. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Any others that would like to address the council?
Good evening, City Council members. My name is Caleb, and I am a member of Santa Cruz County Friday Night Live Partnership. And I am here to announce the winners of the 2014 RAMA winners for Watsonville. RAMA is a project that seeks to educate members of the community, merchants on how they can assure their compliance with the law. It also assists merchants in improving their stores to decrease exposure to alcohol advertising and limit youth access to alcohol. For the project, we schedule store site visits to review compliance with the law and conduct interviews with the store owner or manager. This process is used to determine which stores are in or out of compliance with the law. Stores that are not in compliance with the law are provided assistance to help them meet the requirements of the law. Winners of the Responsible Alcohol Merchant Awards are selected based on compliance with the law, employee and training programs, identification checking practices, and exemplary management practices and policies. For 2014, we are honoring 76 off-sale alcohol outlets countywide, and out of that number, we are honoring 16 stores in the city of Watsonville. Our Watsonville exemplary winners who go above and beyond compliance with the law and enhance community health and safety are the Quick Stop Market on Freedom Boulevard, the Rite Aid on Freedom Boulevard, 7-Eleven on Eastlake, the 7-Eleven on Airport Boulevard, the 7-Eleven on Main Street, CVS Pharmacy on Rodriguez Street, the grocery outlet on Main Street, Mi Pueblo on Freedom Boulevard, Nob Hill Foods on Main Street, Santa Fe Mercado on East Lake Avenue, the Valero Corner Store on Main Street, and the Valero Corner Store on Freedom Boulevard. Our honorary winners in Watsonville who are compliant with the law are Azteca Market and Bakery on Freedom Boulevard, Barcy's Liquors on East Lake Avenue, De La Colmena on West Lake Avenue, Supermax 5 on Main Street. We would like to thank all of these outlets for their time and their commitment to ensuring the health and safety of Watsonville, and we ask that you join us in celebrating their dedication.
Thank you for your comments.
Hello, City Council members. My name is Dorothy Barone, and I'm a member of the Santa Cruz County Friday Night Light Partnership. Tonight, I would also like to share with you the success of our Watsonville Lee Law project. Under the Lee Law, all stores in the state of California are not allowed to have more than 33% of their windows covered with advertisements. The City of Watsonville has a sign ordinance that states no more than 25% of windows can be covered in these advertisements. The Lee Law project was aimed at reducing the amount of off-sale merchants that stood in violation of city and state ordinance. We want to address this because we believe that noncompliance contributes to problems in our community such as teen shoulder tapping, easy access to alcohol, violence, and theft. Our group took pictures of all sides of every off-sale alcohol outlet in Watsonville to calculate the window coverage. We created a database and analyzed the pictures to determine whether the store violated the threshold of coverage. Initially, out of the 49 off-sale merchants investigated in the city of Watsonville, 18 stores were found not to be in compliance. These businesses were then contacted, and teams of youth were sent out to consult with these merchants on which signs needed to be removed in order to be in compliance. After this implementation phase, we achieved 100% compliance. We are continuing to work by checking these stores quarterly, and will recheck all off-sale outlets in Watsonville this summer during our RAMA interviews. We are thrilled that the merchants in Watsonville are responsible and willing to voluntarily comply with the law. They are contributing to decreasing opportunities for violence and increasing the health and safety of our community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor Bilasich and City Council members. My name is Brenda Armstrong. I'm the Prevention Program Manager for the County of Santa Cruz Alcohol and Drug Program. And I'm here tonight to share with you that 2 of your residents were recognized today by the Board of Supervisors as outstanding volunteers for 2014. Aaron Gaxiola, who is supposed to be joining us, his mother's here, and Caleb Bryant, who just spoke to you a moment ago. I want to take a second to read what the Board of Supervisors said about these 2 outstanding citizens of your community. As a Friday Night Live member, Aaron has educated over 25 merchants on how to reduce youth access to alcohol through the Responsible Alcohol Merchant Awards. As a leader of the Lee Law Enforcement campaign, he worked with merchants to follow the law that requires no more than 20% of their windows be covered in advertising. Aaron and other Friday Night Live members assessed every off-sale alcohol outlet in Watsonville and were able to attain 100% voluntary compliance from the 17 stores who were identified as non-compliant. His positive attitude, thoughtful interactions with others allows him to engage both community members and peers in his commitment to create a healthier and safer community. And about Caleb, they read, as a Friday Night Live member, Caleb has educated over 75 merchants on how to reduce youth access to alcohol through the Responsible Alcohol Merchant Awards. As an experienced volunteer, he has trained 35 youth on how to conduct merchant interviews and outreach. This expertise played a significant role in the development of the Lee Law campaign, where he worked with merchants to enforce the law. Caleb and other Friday Night Live members, again, assessed every off-sale outlet and were able to attain 100% voluntary compliance in Watsonville. Caleb's ability to listen deeply and thoughtfully creates a safe space for both youth and community members to engage in actions that create positive change. His dedication, willingness to learn, and follow through is exceptional. We want to thank the City of Watsonville for your continued support of the young people in our community. You allow them opportunities to be leaders in the community and advocate for the changes that they would like to see. And we truly appreciate the time that you've spent with the Friday Night Live leaders this past year, including the staff. Chief Solano, Marcella have spent lots of time in supporting our efforts, and we truly appreciate all you've done for our community.
Thank you. Thank you for taking time to come and speak with us about these great individuals that we have. Appreciate it. Anyone else that would like to address the council? Seeing none, we'll go back to council. Comments? Councilmember Hurst.
Thank you very much. I'll be glad to start it off, and I'll keep my remarks brief. What fabulous spring weather we're having today, huh? I hear the cherry blossoms are blooming in Washington, but it's federal tax day tomorrow, and so hopefully everyone has gotten their income taxes taken care of. Compliments to Councilmember Kaufman Gomez for her neighborhood meeting. I was lucky to attend, and she was certainly welcoming of her neighbors and guests, and it was an important presentation. Thank you very much for doing that for the members of the community. Compliments also to Mayor Pro Tem Hernandez for his Tales on Trails dog adventure. I heard it was very well attended. I'm sorry I wasn't able to drag my dogs are older than I am now. They didn't want to go. You could see there's a real strong demand on Ramsey Park, though. This coming up, we have the area Agency on Aging Advisory Council meeting on the 16th. So anyone with aging issues, email me, and we'll make sure that we're able to discuss some of those items. Madonna Grange out by the fairgrounds is having a seed and starts swap and some gardening tips and information on the 18th at 11. See you at the Grange. Sunny Meadows Apartments is having kind of a grand opening. You know, they've done a lot of work at that facility, and it looks really nice. That'll be on the 24th at 11 in the morning. And let's don't forget Day of the Child and Earth Day. And we have a flyer on that. Earth Day and Day of the Child on the 26th. That's Sunday, the 26th, 12 to 4 in Ramsey Park. Loaves and Fishes reception on 4/29 at 5:30. And the Strawberry Commission will be passing out big scholarships to the children of strawberry growers on May 7th. See you at those events. Thank you.
Thank you. Other comments from council members? Councilmember Garcia.
I just have 3 items to report on. One is Council members Hurst and Dutra and I attended a few weeks ago the first ever Ag Tech meetup here in Watsonville. And I was just truly amazed at the availability of technology in agriculture to help farmers and farm workers. I was particularly impressed with rider berries that use technology for soil preparation, planting, harvesting, and cooling. And so I really hope that the city will support this initiative in Tech Ag. Some of you may not know that since February of 2012, I've been a volunteer for Cabrillo College, and I tutor students in finding scholarships and applying for scholarships. And I just wanted to acknowledge a business here in Watsonville, an organization here that really supports our young people in terms of higher education. First of all, Bay Federal awarded one of my students $1,500. She just transferred from Cabrillo College to CSUMB, and so it's going to be a lot of help for her. The other organization I really want to acknowledge is the Soroptimists. The Soroptimists have been in existence 86 years here in Watsonville, and they have always helped young girls and women. The young girls, they give scholarships for graduating seniors, and for the women, they select women who have overcome issues with poverty, domestic violence, alcohol, and drug abuse. And so I'm just very grateful, or want to acknowledge that we have two great organizations in Watsonville that help our young people. Finally, 2 weeks ago, I was appointed to the League of Cities Administrative Service Policy Committee, and I want to thank Karina for helping me giving me guidance in my application process. And I joined for two reasons. One is when I was a trustee at Cabrillo College, I learned that a lot of decisions are made at the state level that have an impact on us on the local level. And so it's very important that we have our local voice at that state level decision making. The second reason is for this particular administrative service policy, in addition to reviewing pending legislation, it also reviews the Brown Act, Public Records Act, and Political Reform Act that is implemented by the Fair Political Practices Commission. All of these deal with transparency for our elected officials, and that is something that I really want to emphasize for this council. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Councilmember Dutra.
Hello, everybody. Good evening. Thank you for coming out here this evening. I wanted to touch base on what Councilmember Garcia just said as well. I had the opportunity to attend the Ag Tech at Digital Nest a couple weeks ago, and as we all know, we're in an agricultural community. So to see our community members moving forward with forward thinking when it comes to technology, what we're using out in the fields. It's great to see that that's being implemented not only in our community, but a lot of it's being created here as well. And as Councilwoman Garcia said, Ryder has taken a big step in moving forward with, I just was amazed by the way they have the new little carts for the strawberry workers which provided shade and so, these farmers are really thinking outside of the box when looking into, future centuries. And I've always pushed this, and I hope that we can even have more businesses come home or come local to create more technology that we use locally instead of always having to depend on what's being made over in the Silicon Valley or in Southern California. I also, in addition to that, had the opportunity to attend the Pearl Valley Shelter Service and really got a good tour of it and learned exactly what they do. Very impressed. This organization sets mostly women and some men, but they set them on the right economic path. They really teach them how to deal with money and finances and give them the tools that they're going to need to be successful out in the future when they are able to obtain their own housing. And like I said, I was really impressed that this is here locally, and the organization really just pushes every day, people who are having need a little bit of help, they give them the opportunity to come in and then they teach them skills, and they also get to live there, but they definitely get them back on their feet. They have a famous Mother's Day run. It's coming up on Mother's Day, and I encourage everybody to participate in this. And the proceeds do go to the Pearl Valley Shelter Service, and it is a great service to our community. You can find that information on their website. I personally started a reading tour. I'm going to be going to all of our elementary schools and reading to the first graders. I think that reading is really important. It's a tool that we can all use. That we all use as we grow older, and I started at Minnie White. I was really impressed by the young minds that are out there, and they catch everything. So you can't pull anything by a first grader. So I will continue my tour. I will be going. My next school will be at Landmark. So I really appreciate all the support I'm getting from the administration and getting my reading tour off the ground. And I also met with the firefighters last week, just to hear their concerns and, to see if I can be of any assistance to them, because in our community, we are men and women who are fighting for us and protecting us. And it's important to, show our support for them. And then also, just one last thing, I know I'm over my 3 minutes. I'm going to be attending a leadership conference at USC this weekend. I was awarded a scholarship to attend, which will be talking about transportation and housing. And I'm looking forward to attending this weekend to, learn some insights about things that will be affecting our community, especially in the future, and bringing back that information so we can implement it into our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Kaufman Gomez.
Thank you very much, and I'll try to be as brief as possible. One of the things that will be coming up is a community meeting for a proposal for a downtown hotel that will be on Western Drive, and this will be the intersection of Main and Freedom Boulevard across from the Catholic Church. And the time scheduled for those of you that may be interested in this development is the 22nd of April, being Wednesday at 6 p.m. in the cafeteria at Notre Dame. So what we want to do is have the audience or have the members of the community there to listen about the project and address any of the concerns that they may have with regarding the future of our city here. So I want to make sure that is well noted. It's La Quinta La Quinta Hotel that is looking to go in where the current motel is located right now. I had a chance to go ahead and take a look at the new clinic that's down on Freedom Boulevard that will be for dientes as well as health services and some mental health services. They're looking at opening up about July. Right now, dientes, I think, is looking at treating about 5,000 residents from our city, so hopefully we'll be able to keep them off the road and being able to locally provide for the care and services that many of the residents in our community may need. I want to thank also the city staff for their help and assistance for putting together our town hall that allowed some of the community to come out and do some cross dialogue that isn't always an opportunity that happens at this type of meeting format that we have. So I'm very pleased to have that happen and would certainly like more community involvement with that. And I also want to put a shout out for one of our staff Luz Martinez, that's one of our city staff, I believe, within our library division. And at a luncheon I attended for the United Way, she was being honored for the assistance in helping fundraise on behalf of United Way for the staff here at the city. So tell her thank you very much for all of what she's done there. I am looking at visitor signs. Let me show you. We do some good things here. Let's go ahead and do a little bit of promotion. So I'm going to show you what I picked up for us to display out in our community. These signs will be posted out at the Welcome on Main Street on Riverside. So that it addresses a little bit more about what our community does and the events that we hold. So look forward to seeing these on our welcome signs. And I believe then that right now would be what I have left. I am interested in investing, somebody with a vested interest in working with me on a participatory budgeting. If anybody there in the community here has an interest in doing so, I could use some help to investigate this a bit further for some grant funding. The grant funding would then be used by the community to decide how it should be vested in our area here. So I think it's a pretty good project to put together, and I am interested in some help. Thank you.
Thank you.
I also wanted to thank Neighborhood Services, as well as our Watsonville Police Department, and Ezekiel Vega, our finance director, who came to our neighborhood meeting over on Hill Avenue and did a few presentations, one on public safety, the other on update on our budget. And there's a couple of different actions that are coming about, springing out from that neighborhood meeting. One being a neighborhood walking tour where we've invited other representatives from the city as well as other neighbors in the local community to walk through and examine and have a deeper conversation around some of the traffic impacts that we see there, as well as some of the impact that we've seen in some of the surrounding alleyways. And also I wanted to thank the Watsonville Senior Center, Youth Serve, as well as the the Santa Cruz County Volunteer Center for helping us put together and organize our neighborhood cleanup in honor of the Cesar Chavez Day of Service that we had in the last weekend of March. And that was an incredible opportunity. We had a number of volunteers that were there helping clean up the neighborhood surrounding the senior center, Sutton Street. And there was just a lot of involvement from also the residents in the area who were cleaning up their own homes and participating in that day of service. And then I also wanted to just highlight that I did participate in the Walk to Stop the Silence. This is an annual event that's organized to raise awareness around the child abuse that does happen in various communities. And the Walk to Stop the Silence, some of the organizers, the Survivors Healing Center, recognized the city of Watsonville there with the Walk Hero Award for all that our staff does to help them prepare, not just for the march, but also for what the city does to provide safe communities for all of our families. And so congratulations to the city for earning that recognition.
Thank you. Councilmember Hernandez.
So first off, I want to thank the Watsonville Police Department. They had a really exciting weekend. They had a lot of activity going on this weekend, and they caught several of the culprits, if not all. So I think, I really want to give you guys a big round of applause for all the work that you guys do day in, day out. I got all the alerts that were happening, and I was seeing that all the criminals were caught, so good work. Kudos. I know that the open streets is on the agenda. I really want to put a plug for this. It's going to be Sunday, May 17th at Callahan from 11 to 3. I had scheduled to take a trip to Anaheim, and I'm canceling that to stay here and attend this event. There's a couple of things that are going on. Lowell already mentioned the Day of the Child, Earth Day, Sunday, April 26th. I always run into Lowell there, and we always end up walking together through all the booths. So it's always a fun event. Lots of kids out there, lots of people. It's always a great event. I encourage everyone to attend it. Take your kids there. It's a free event to take kids to. The food is low cost there, so it's a great event. The other thing that we have going on, there's a group called Watsonville Forward, and they're doing a Watsonville Truck Block Party. So it's going to get multiple trucks in one location, one private property location, and we're going to have a celebration there. Great event happening on Saturday, April 25th from 5 to 7. It's going to be at the United Presbyterian Church over on East Beach. Their parking lot is right behind Cabrillo, so that should be a great event. I was in Sacramento last Thursday, and I had the opportunity to speak on a panel on behalf of the city in front of the Senate Budget Committee, and we were testifying against the trailer bill the governor's trying to pass, or the Department of Finance, that would endanger our city's $4.4 million in redevelopment. So, it's really important that we do go out there and fight for that $4.4 million that the city will get back as general funds. We're going back to a hearing in May sometime with the same Senate Budget Committee. So it's an important fight that we have to, be aware of. The Tales on Trails Community Dog Walk, it was such a great event. There's almost 100 people there. I was really expecting like 20, 25 people. I didn't even have enough sign-in sheets for people. I had 60 signatures that I had, and I didn't even have enough for more because there's still another, 20 people out there. So, it's something that I thought would be fun, and it would add to our trails. People talk about our trails being part of tourism, but we got to actually make activities that bring people to the trails. There was people there that were from, everywhere, Santa Cruz, and they're, tagging me on their little thing. And, it's funny, sometimes they write South County. They don't necessarily say they're in Watsonville. So I thought it was kind of funny, but hey, it's bringing people to Watsonville, So great event. I think I want to continue doing these. I really want to thank the Santa Cruz County Animal Shelter and the Wishbone Pet Store. They're great support and, getting the word out there. But, it's making fun events that bring people to Watsonville. People aren't going to come, for nothing. So I want to continue doing, great fun events for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, you've heard about all of the many events, so I'm not going to repeat those. I will tell you that on March 25th, I was honored to join the mayors and the county for a special meeting in Capitola, and that was, to me, beneficial to find out what's happening in other cities. And on March 31st, we had a special ceremony right here in our own library. Carol Heisick was very involved, and it was a citizenship ceremony. Well-attended and a really nice event, and I appreciate your leadership, Carol. Thank you very much. And then one event that was that you need to know about, there's one more, and that's the Business Expo on April 23rd will be held out at the fairgrounds, and that's with the Powell Valley Chamber of Commerce. And then Felicia Davidson, where are you, Felicia? Why don't you stand up for just a moment? Just to let you know that she is our youth hero, that she's been recognized by the Santa Cruz County chapter of the American Red Cross and will be honored later this month. So thank you for being here. Appreciate it. And I think that concludes my remarks at this moment. We will have a report out from closed session.
Thank you, Mayor. Okay, so on the conference with real property negotiator, the council received a report but took no action, gave direction. On the conference with legal counsel existing litigation, the council discussed one case, Ethnobotanica, but took no action. The council listened to its negotiators on the Police Officers Association negotiation, but took no action, gave direction. And on the redevelopment agency side, the council received a report from its special counsel, but took no action other than to give direction. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Do you have slides? So we're moving on to the next item, and this is really an honor for me because in Watsonville, we have had a retired American basketball player who has been in our community forever, and this is Kenny Sears. Kenny, can you come up to the front, please? Come on up to the front. These are pictures that were taken. He was the first basketball player. Now think about this, the first basketball player to grace the cover of Sports Illustrated. Very first one. And so you can come up too, Gene. And these are some of the pictures from Sports Illustrated at various times. This is just a different slideshow that you can see all of the special things that he has accomplished. We're very proud of him.
Oh yeah, I'd like to come.
You can see how tall this young man is. Look how tall he is. And that's that basketball player, Kenny Sears. And we are so happy and so proud to be here, to be here today to present you with a special proclamation that will declare every August 17th Kenny Sears Day. That's his birthday. And I'm sorry it's taken us so long, but you have been instrumental in our community. We are just so proud of you. And I couldn't be happier than to declare a special Kenny Sears Day on August 17th. So thank you so much. We'll present this to you.
Well, thank you very kindly.
You're welcome. Timmy, you want to say something?
We're so lucky to have someone like this in our community, and I've known Kenny and Nan forever, since I was a little kid, and it's such an honor to know you guys, and thank you for being a big part of our community, and congratulations, you deserve this.
You want to say anything?
I think it's important that we recognize Kenny for all that he's done. He was a all-conference player in the county, then he went on to be an All-American, Santa Clara, and then on to be a star in the NBA. And I think it's important that for the youth in our community to recognize Kenny as a role model and that help them realize that you don't have to be from a big city. You can do it right here from Watsonville. And I'm proud of him.
Thank you for your comments. This is Coach Gene Johnson. who's coached in the area in many, many different sports. You're appreciated. Thanks so much. Moving on with the agenda, we have a special presentation regarding open streets, which will be a Watsonville event May 17th. Come on up and tell us about this great event.
I'd love to. Thank you. And thank you, Councilmember Hernandez, for the early plug preview for my presentation. My name is Saskia Lucas, and I'm the Director of Open Street Santa Cruz County. It's a countywide community event program. And, oh, the clicker's right here. Thank you. The mission of Open Street Santa Cruz County is to promote individual and community health through creative use of public space. So that's what Santa Cruz, that's what Open Streets does. It is a creative use of public space. We create a temporary street park, pop-up street park, if you will, for people to walk, bike, and play in the street without automobiles. We do that through a temporary road closure, so no cars, and people get to play in the street. It's a free, completely free, non-commercial, family-friendly activity event. We, in addition to the open space that's created for individual recreation, we also invite community groups to come and host healthy activities, and also to do outreach about their programs. So you might have Zumba, salsa dancing in the street, different community organizations, as I mentioned, sponsors doing outreach, and also music and dance, always a favorite. In fact, that's a picture in the lower left, or sorry, lower right of Watsonville Taiko drumming, which has, we've been fortunate enough to have them at some of our past events, and they're going to be in the streets with us in Watsonville on May 17th. The goals of Open Street Santa Cruz County are to promote, well, this is one of the primary goals, to promote physical activity and health, and specifically a lifestyle of bicycling and walking, and again, by really promoting these activities through the safe access that's provided at the event. So creating an environment where people who might not normally feel comfortable riding a bike with their children are able to do that, maybe for the first time ever on that street. Also, an important goal is to promote community as well as quality of life. And as I mentioned, to increase safety and access to the roadway for all users, young and old, all abilities. Also, to promote enjoyment and care for our natural environment. We're going to be having some groups like the Watsonville Wetlands Group, also your city department, the Nature Center coming out and doing outreach. And in addition, to boost the local economy through business promotion and ecotourism, and then to inspire discussion about creative use of public space. So here's our event poster, and a fun fact about this poster is that a Pajaro Valley High School student designed it, Belen Guerrero, in the graphic design class at PV High. It's beautiful design featuring the agriculture of the area in the background there. And again, this event is happening on Sunday, May 17th from 11 to 3 in downtown. This is a neat route. The street closure will be connecting two city parks, Callahan Park on the one end at Freedom Boulevard, all the way to the plaza. And we've got a lot of great organizations involved and who will be presenting all kinds of great activities for participants. Again, this is a close-up of the map showing the route. And so this route includes both the residential portion as well as business segment closer to the plaza. So we've been working closely with the Watsonville Police Department to safely to come up with a plan to safely close the road. There'll be some cadets out there helping to man the barricades, as well as Open Streets will be, paying for police time for to ensure safety of participants at the event. We have also done a lot of outreach already, and we're continuing to do outreach to the local businesses. We've actually walked door to door, and this has been in collaboration with El Pajaro Community Development Corporation, walking door to door, giving information to the businesses about the event, and asking for their interest in participating, and we'll be following up with them. I've also been working with the city planning department as well as El Pajaro CDC on coming up with a list of guidelines that we can share with the businesses for their participation, et cetera. And then we'll also be doing resident outreach through door-to-door contact, and as well as leaving information bilingual, of course, as well as a follow-up to that a few days out from the event. We'll be, again, contacting them and leaving door hangers as a reminder. And basically the plan is that for residences, we'll be asking them to, if at all possible, for them to park off of the street for that one day. The public event time, again, is 11 to 3, but we envision that we'll need an hour before and an hour after the event for setup and breakdown. So from 10 to 4, folks will be asked to park off the street, and if needed, we'll have a backup plan for folks to get out if needed. There's about 20 residences, and that also includes, of course, the apartment complex. I think it's called the Alice Bryce or something like that, closer to Freedom Boulevard. So that's the basic plan there. And as far as we've done a lot. We've come up with a really good route, event date. We've been inviting our community partners and getting commitments for those. And now we're really launching into our promotion. We're working with PVUSD, the school district, to get the word out to school children. We're working with the local businesses, including Granite Rock, Driscoll's, Cal Giant, to get the word out to their employees. And of course, there'll be posters in hopefully every business and library and every place else that folks go around here, papering the city with event information. And I just want to really commend and thank all our supporters out there, because it really does take a village to put on something of this magnitude. We've got a lot of support, and I'm really grateful. Major support for this event comes from the Regional Transportation Commission, which provided essential seed funding. Ecology Action, as well as the Health Services Agency, and a grant through Caltrans. And then we also have some, our major sponsors include Palo Alto Medical Foundation, Cyclists for Cultural Exchange, as well as the local paper, the Pajaronian. And another really neat aspect of this event is the youth involvement. We are partnering with the Watsonville Youth City Council to hold their Teen Day event in conjunction with Open Streets. We saw that as a win-win and leveraging each other's resources. So the Teen Day will be happening at the Plaza, and we'll be extending, that event and through the streets up to Callahan Park. We are also working with another organization in the community, Salud para la Gente, to promote health. And you can see some of the other folks that are involved. It's too many to mention in this short presentation. But we have a lot of great organizing partners. We've been holding planning meetings regularly, monthly, now bi-monthly, for almost a year to get to this point. So anyway. We are a growing program. We began in 2012 with an event in Santa Cruz on Westcliff Drive and repeated that with tremendous success. We're also bringing that event back to Santa Cruz in October on October 11th. So I hope to see you there. In addition to the May 17th event here in Watsonville, I hope to see you all out there. Oh, and let me just finish by saying that from the very beginning, the long-term vision for this program has been to establish a program of repeating events in different locations around Santa Cruz County. So thanks for being a part of that. And just want to also just thank the City of Watsonville departments, staff. They were included in the sponsor list, but it's been a tremendous help and couldn't be done without your assistance and guidance. So thank you. And let's see here. Yeah, I welcome any questions. Thank you. Comments?
One of the things, I'm glad that you're presenting now. I think it's great because just to make sure the residents are aware. I know you're going to do outreach and everything, but still, if you're in your home and you can't leave your home for, 6 hours, but yet you have emergency plan. So if you have an elderly person that needs to go somewhere, we have plans. And I think that's great. So that and you're telling people now so people can prepare. Appreciate that very much.
Yeah, you're welcome. And that's very important to us. We really want this to be a positive experience for everyone. We don't want anyone to be surprised. That's the goal.
Go ahead.
So on the pictures, I see there's strollers, not just bikes. There's unicycles, strollers, and I've seen some other stuff. And I see it's pet-friendly event, right?
That's correct. I mean, we do ask that our dog walkers hold the dogs on a short leash because long leashes and bikes don't mix very well. But absolutely, no. The dog walkers love this event, and we've actually had animal organizations out there. The local shelter, animal shelter, and even veterinary clinics hosting dog obstacle courses and. Yeah.
Councilmember Dutra.
I think this is great. Getting our community moving and on their feet, especially in a community where we have childhood obesity on the rise and type 2 diabetes. I think getting people out there and getting them moving, like in the old days when I grew up, we were outside the whole time. So nowadays they have their all their electronics that keeps them inside. So giving them something to do on the outside and kind of teaching them to be active is important. I see that this is something that you have done in Santa Cruz annually. Is this something you look forward to doing in Watsonville annually? Or
absolutely, and thank you for asking. Absolutely. My hope is really that that we establish this as a repeating event and really welcome the city and all our community partners' collaboration in making that happen.
Great. I support you 100%, and I hope this is something that Watsonville can pick up every single year. Thank you.
Yeah, something I didn't mention is that this really is a part of a national and international movement, and the cities that have the biggest and the best established programs of events are actually in Latin America. They're doing this on a weekly basis, providing residents of their cities with weekly opportunities to recreate actively. And it really is a health promoting, community promoting initiative that cities can do.
Thank you. I appreciate your presentation.
Thank you. Thanks very much for allowing me the opportunity. Oh, and I have a few I've already given away all my posters today, but I do have some flyers some bilingual flyers I'd like to distribute for you and your friends and contacts. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have a presentation regarding hospice care in the Pajaro Valley. Mr. Millward, he's the Chief Executive Officer.
Good evening, and excuse me, thank you very much for inviting me to speak with you tonight. And it's nice to see you, Mayor Bilasich and Councilmember Garcia. I know you've been in conversations with our Vice President Kathy Conway recently, and we appreciate your interest. And Councilmember Hurst is a loyal supporter and a good friend. I appreciate that this may not be new information, but I think it's important to to bring you up to speed on some of the important and interesting things that we're doing and to refresh your recollection about exactly what hospice is, when it's time for hospice. First of all, hospice is a Medicare benefit, and it's important because as community leaders and as public servants, you have a lot of influence in the community, and you'll be talking to people at all phases of life, including at the end of life. And it's important for everyone to know that hospice is a Medicare benefit, that it's available to everyone, and that for those that are not yet 65 or unable to pay for our services, we have never in 37 years turned away anyone for lack of ability to pay. Last year, we provided about $100,000 worth of charity care. So as you spread the word and as you encounter folks in your life that may require our services, I think that's an important thing to understand. So hospice, of course, does two things. We care for people at the end of life. We care for patients and their families. And we define family in any way that the patient defines their family. That might be a nuclear family. It might be a community of friends. It may be extended family. Whoever's supporting the patient is supported by the hospice team. We also provide grief support, and it's an important part of our mission to provide grief support not only to our patients and their families, but to everyone in the community. And as you go forward and spread the word about this guy that talked about hospice at the city council meeting, it's important that everyone in the community understand that we're available to provide grief support. We're doing grief support education and grief support groups in 40 schools in the county. Probably half of those schools are in the Pajaro Valley. Last year, we did a grief camp for kids. We had 40 children ages 6 to 17 attend a weekend camp at Mount Hermon, provided free to every child. The Pajaro Valley Quilters, in fact, did a handmade quilt for every child who attended. We sold it out. Of course, it was free, but we reached the maximum of 40. This year, we're going to go to 50. So these are all services that we provide. So hospice, if you're facing a terminal illness and the doctor has opined that you have 6 months or less to live, you have the option of turning to hospice for care at the end of life. You can see it's available to you when a cure is no longer possible, and we do understand that this is a very difficult decision. To make that turn from cure towards comfort, what we do is we provide symptom management and pain management so people can live at the very end of their life, that they can have a quality to their life, sometimes a life with extraordinary quality as they turn towards this last chapter in their lives. And again, it's important, I think, to know that we have been serving the county, including the Pajaro Valley and some parts of northern Monterey County, for 37 years. And our program is growing. Today, we have 192 patients on service in the county. A hospice patient, this is really advanced medical care in this day and age. It's very cost effective because hospice patients are cared for in their homes or they're cared for in facilities as much like home as possible, skilled nursing facilities and residential care facilities. And they're served by an entire interdisciplinary team of physicians, home health aides, nurses, medical social workers, a chaplain if you choose, and a volunteer if you choose. And so this entire team cares for the patient and again for the family. I think it's important just to review our mission. It's of course to provide professional and compassionate care, but the second part I think makes a big difference. We recognize that the individuals and the families that we're caring for, that they're the guiding force in their journey. And at Hospice of Santa Cruz County, we have a very deep ethic of what we call cultural humility, recognizing that not only are we serving different cultures, but that really every patient and family that we care for is a unique culture. And so we enter into the home or into the facility asking the question, what is there for us to learn? And if we're listening and we're paying attention, the patient and the family will teach us what they need. And I think that really matters as we work to outreach in the Latino population and in the various different cultures in this diverse community that we serve. Second part, our vision is to lead our community with high quality but innovative end-of-life care. Hospice of Santa Cruz County, one of our strategic initiatives is to be a thought leader in the area of end-of-life care and in the area of grief support. And some of the ways we do that, we provide grief support for adults, teens, and children. We provide transitional care. If you're not ready for hospice, if you have a chronic illness but you're not yet within that 6-month window, or if you're not yet ready to have that conversation, we provide transitional care that helps you guide, or we guide you through the healthcare system as you live with chronic illness. You know, it's interesting when I speak to different groups, I tell them that in 1900, 90% of us died from an acute event or illness. Today, 90% of us will die from a chronic or long-term process. So this service is more important than ever. We make a special effort to reach out to our veteran patients, knowing that life review at the end of life is an important part of the journey, and veterans, that time of their life of military service often is an important piece of their life review. For some World War II vets, it's a very proud moment, and for some of our Vietnam vets, they're still trying to come to terms with that experience. We're even seeing Gulf War vets, and so we have a special program that touches our veteran patients. I spoke about our pro bono hospice care. We have remarkable four-legged volunteers that visit patients, and that's very welcome. We do music therapy with our patients, and these two outreach efforts that we are focusing on now, one is to partner with the faith communities, knowing that they're natural partners, and of course that we are continuing to make efforts to reach into the Latino population and offer hospice service, you know, across the spectrum of experience. You know, the title of this short presentation was Hospice Care in the Pajaro Valley, and 2 years ago, in fact, then Mayor Hurst helped us cut the ribbon of our Barina Family Center for Compassionate Care on the campus of the Watsonville Hospital. You know, I know some years ago, before my time serving as the leader of this organization, Hospice of Santa Cruz County moved from mid-county in Aptos. We outgrew our facility there, and the opportunity presented itself to be located in Scotts Valley. But to a certain extent, this community may have felt to some extent abandoned as we moved far north. And so to be back in Watsonville and to be part of the community and to be able to serve this community from the neighborhood is really important to us. And so for 2 years now, we offer a bilingual clinical team. We offer grief support. We offer every service out of the Watsonville Center that we offer in Scotts Valley as well. So we're very pleased to be back on the ground here. So the way you can help, again, is as community leaders, you can help spread the word. You know, when is it time to call hospice? Whenever you have a question about someone who's ill or someone who's grieving. This morning I met with the superintendent of the Soquel Unified School District, talking to her, Chris Monroe, about how we can help her kids if they have suffered a loss. We know that 1 out of 5 children in the United States will suffer the loss of a special person. And how they're attended to in their grief really makes a difference in how their lives unfold. So we are available to you if you have questions. We're available to your constituents. We want you to know that we're here, and we're happy to be here in Watsonville out of our Barina Center, and I would entertain any questions. And thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you. Any questions, comments? Councilmember Hurst?
I just wanted to thank Mr. Milford. This is a very difficult thing for folks to come to grips with, and to hear your presentation and educating the community and reaching out to them through your presence here and explaining the process. And you know, it's something that people don't necessarily enjoy talking about or planning for, but whether we like it or not, you know, the last chapter is always coming. So thank you so much for being here, Michael, and sharing with us, and hopefully this will create some of the awareness that wasn't there before. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Thank you very much for your presentation. Okay, moving right along, we're moving on to the consent agenda. Have any?
There-
Okay, Councilmember.
No, public, or there's item I'm not going to be voting on.
Okay. Well, any public input on the consent agenda? We have 10, I think, 10, 11 items. 12 items on the consent agenda, so you can speak about something on the consent agenda. Well, let's, after them.
Okay, so I want to say that Verizon Wireless, this is appropriate to talk about that, right? Okay.
Item, yes, 4.12.
Yes, okay. So we want to say that Verizon Wireless wants to believe that they are the only party to this appeal, but in fact, the community is a party too. And there were about 100 people at the commission hearing when this issue was brought up. So you can see that there was a big part of the community that was present. They have a stake in this as well, and they're the ones that elected you to represent us. Verizon says it will waive its rights to a speedy appeal. And is Verizon the only ones with rights? What about the public's right to have a speedy determination? We strongly believe the commission has made the right decision. And when and if this matter comes before you, we expect that you make the right decision too and turn this application down. The staff and the applicant act as if they're the only ones, as if this is only between the staff and the applicant, when in fact it's part of the public as well. I came to remind you that the public is the most important party to this appeal. Please don't forget that. Tonight or any other time this matter comes before you, it's the wrong project for the wrong place. The City Council should uphold the commission and deny the appeal. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to speak? Bringing it back to council.
I'd like to request a pull of 4.3, please.
Okay, 4.3. Councilmember Hurst?
Yes, I'd like to pull item 4.10. That's the ordinance amending the alcohol issue.
Okay, anybody else? Councilmember Hernandez?
I think they pulled some of the ones that I wanted to pull out as well, but, you know, item 4.4, I hope that's not the Bearcat, is it? I'm just kidding.
No.
I'm just kidding.
iPads and
yeah, I'm just kidding.
fingerprint reader.
You know, I really, on item 4.2, I really want to, again, thank Anna and all the staff at Parks and Recreation for all the work they've been doing. I know there's tons of youth that are really looking forward to the skate park becoming a reality. You know, every time I walk by this skate park, all the kids come out, hey, when are they going to do it? Or whenever I go to Starbucks, the kids over there come out and say, you know, always mention it. So, you know, a lot of young people are really excited about this, and I really want to thank you for all the hard work and your effort that you and your department have been doing for this. That's it.
Anyone else? Are we pulling these items, or are we just going to discuss?
I'd like to go ahead and have staff present briefly the bid for the project. And the other reason why I do pull this is, by general rule of thumb, anything that we're spending from community dollars over $100,000, I'd like to have a bit more conversation with public about it.
Okay, so item 4.3 is the bid for
I did pull it.
high voltage electrical. Okay, so you pulled it, and Lowell, did you pull yours?
Yes, I'd like to have a little further discussion on item 4.10.
Okay,
the,
so those are pulled
alcohol-related-
items, and then let's look at consent then. So do we have a motion to pass the rest of consent?
I'll make a motion to pass consent agenda.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
We need a.
We need a roll call vote.
Roll call. And who seconded? I heard you. Okay.
Trina, I think.
Cervantes? Yes. Copman Gomez?
Yes.
Dutra?
Yes.
Garcia? Yes. Hernandez?
Yes.
Hurst?
Yes.
Bielicic?
Yes, thank you. And now we'll go to 5.0, the removed items, starting with item 4.3, which is the lighting for the softball field at Ramsey Park.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Ana Espinosa, Director for Parks and Community Services Department. The item before you tonight is to award a bid and contract for the Ramsey Park softball lighting renovation project, and award the bid to Eco Energy Solutions, Inc., also known as High Volt Electric, in the amount of $176,855. Just to jog your memory, back in February 24th at the City Council meeting, you provided authorization for staff to move forward to call for bids. And I also wanted to mention that this project is done jointly with the Public Works and Utilities Department. They're great partners for us. And here beside me is Bob Berry, who's a project manager for Public Works, who works with us very closely on all of our park renovation projects. So also credit should be given to Bob and Fabian Guzman for their work on the skate park as well, the other item that was mentioned earlier. With the bid, there were actually 6 bidders that submitted bids, and the bid is being recommended to go to Eco Energy Solutions High Volt Electric as the lowest bidder. And we are also including a 10% contingency on the project, which is an additional $17,000 to complete the project. The purpose for this project is that at the Ramsey Park softball field, we have very antiquated softball lighting. And for the purpose of renovating it, ensuring safety and overall operational efficiency, this is a project that came before us in the last several months. And so we find that this project is an urgent project to move forward. We're on a very tight timeline. We would certainly like the council to authorize the award of this bid so that we can begin work. We have already canceled our spring league. We see about 24 to 30 teams, probably about 350 participants, and we've already lost revenue of about $15,000 roughly. And so we feel that this is a very important project for us to move forward on.
Thank you. Councilmember Kaufman-Gomez.
Can you give us a timeline from the start to the finish on this project so that people know when we can anticipate the fields being available?
Probably, if we award, it'll take about a month to get contracts and bonds executed. And so notice to proceed will be given to the contractor around mid-May. They have to pull a permit from the building department for this project, but other work can proceed. So we're figuring about 2 weeks for the permit and about 6 weeks for the actual construction. So we're hoping to have the project done by mid-July.
And then your team start up about August, is it, or what time?
We have our summer fall league, which would be starting up around August. So folks would be actually registering in July, into July. So it's very tight, as I mentioned.
Councilmember Dutra.
Thank you for all you guys, the work that you do. I'm working with the Parks and Rec and hopefully going to be doing a softball tournament during the Strawberry Festival, and the money and the funds raised hopefully will be going to buy purchase lights for our downtown during the holidays. So this project is really important that we can have it done soon, as we are hoping to have 24 teams participate in this tournament. We will probably be going into the evening for some championship games. So just to keep that in the mind as well. Thank you.
Councilmember Garcia.
You mentioned there's a 10% contingency amount of $17,686. Can you tell us more about why we're giving that amount?
The contingency amount is a typical amount that we apply to all our renovation projects. Depending on the size of the project, it could be between 10 or 15%. So this is a standard amount that we want to make available should there be any unexpected changes in the construction that we would, that way we are able to cover that expense.
There's such a wide difference in the bids. This company obviously covered all of the things that are needed at Ramsey Park. I mean, we've already had a problem with goals before. We certainly don't want to have anything with light poles. Are all of those things factored in here?
With the recommended bidder, they're being recommended because they're able to accomplish all of the works that have been outlined in the bid packet. Pretty comprehensive packet that was put together by Mr. Barry and the finance department. And it's about over 100-page document that has actual construction documents and information and a geotechnical report that they have to refer to. And therefore, they meet our requirements.
Thank you. Councilmember Hurst?
Yes, let me just say that softball is important in this community. There's a real need to engage folks in this physical activity and youth and young adults and older folks too. It's important. And so we don't want to slow that down or derail it or cause a season to not work. So I think it's important that we move forward with this. And yes, there's over $100,000 difference between the highest and the lowest bidder. But I think that our bidding process has been proven responsible in the past, and it always has been. We get our money's worth. We make sure the quality's there, and that we hold everyone accountable in the process. And so, while I would have a preference for a local bidder as well, and we do. I'm sorry that the pencils weren't sharpened on as much as they could be, or that we're getting a good deal and we're moving forward with it in a way that's expedites the project, moves it forward onto the season. Good things are going to happen. I say let's move forward.
I make a motion to pass, to approve 5.1.
Do we have a second? Do you have any comments?
No, thank you very much for presenting this. Again, I want to make sure the community is aware of where our investments are going. It's a long-term investment, that it's a safe investment that we don't have to come back for at another time, and that we're thorough with making sure that the bid is accurate enough so we don't have to have any revisits in terms of cost factors. So thank you.
Okay, we have a motion and a second.
Cervantes? Yes. Captain Gomez?
Yes.
Dutra?
Yes.
Garcia? Yes. Hernandez?
Yes.
Hurst?
Yes.
Bielesich?
Yes. So moving on to 4.10. Councilmember Hurst?
Yes, Mayor. The reason I pulled this is that I think that we just need to have a conclusive discussion on it. It is a big change. It's a policy decision, and that's why we're here, is for policy and not nitpick one thing or another. And we're going from an ordinance that it may not work as well as we hope it does, but we're exempting and we're amending and we're changing and we're doing it for kind of the wrong reasons in some way. We're going to run the risk of pouring more alcohol into the community. We're going to be taking allowing the applicant to take a water store and turn it into a beer store. And we've kind of seen how that works, and it may not be the best thing for the neighborhood. And so when I think about our responsibility to make policy and to make good policy, I'm not so sure that this is the right policy, and there may be folks from the public that want to weigh in on it too.
Is there any comments from the public on item 4.10? Seeing none, bring it back to council.
I'll make a motion to move the item forward. We've voted on this before. We've had a lengthy discussion already, and I'll also move it to go forward.
Okay, so we have a motion, we have a second?
Second.
Okay, motion and a second.
Cervantes,
Yes.
Carmen Gomez,
Yes.
Dutra,
Yes.
Garcia. Hernandez,
No.
Hurst,
No.
Bielicich.
Yes. Okay, so motion passes, and moving right along to new business. And now we're having donations from the Land Trust of Santa Cruz County and Ecology Action and Friends of the Rail. Trail for Lee Road, Walker Street, rail projects. Here we go. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor Bilicich, members of the City Council. My name is Murray Fonts. I'm a principal engineer in the Public Works and Utilities Department, and this evening I'd like to report on this particular item. Watsonville's trail system benefits the city in many ways. The trails improve health and opportunities for an active lifestyle. They create value and generate economic activity. They provide non-vehicular transportation options, and they enhance cultural awareness and community identity. In 2012, the council fulfilled a long-term goal for the community when it adopted a Trails and Bicycle Master Plan. The master plan provides a framework for the ongoing development of trails. It was created with direction from an advisory committee made up of various stakeholder interest groups. It also benefited from significant community input as draft recommendations were developed and presented to the public for review, and the feedback was incorporated into the document. The finished product is a master plan that serves the city, the Pajaro Valley, and the Monterey Bay region. Development of the proposed trail system is part of a greater effort by various groups to improve pedestrian and environmental health. The trails address recommendations found in the city's urban greening plan and the draft climate action plan, as well as the Santa Cruz County Watsonville Sloughs Watershed Conservation and Enhancement Plan and the National Safe Routes to School program. The existing trail system includes 7 miles of trails with 29 entrances. A restoration and maintenance program with Watsonville Wetlands Watch has been developed that includes an Adopt-a-Trail program where volunteers assist with the work. The city's nature center, located at Ramsey Park, serves as a gateway to the trails by providing information and hosting docent-led walks. The city's development of trails has been a path to success. Here are a few examples. Much of the funding for the trails has come from grants, as the city has secured over $7 million. In 2012, a visit from a cuckoo bird put Watsonville on the birding map, drawing enthusiasts from 39 different states and enhancing the city's reputation for ecotourism. Every Friday, the city's education outreach program hosts a trail tour for a class of 4th graders and their parents as they learn to protect the wetlands and clean up pollution. Last Saturday, Mayor Pro Tempore Felipe Hernandez organized the Tales of the Trails Community Dog Walk, which has been mentioned several times this evening. It took place on the trail system with over 80 people participating. Currently, the city is working to develop these trails and gain support through grants, and also focus on projects that the master plan has established as priorities. Here are 5. The Upper Watsonville Slough Trail is shown as number 9.4 on this slide that was taken from the master plan. The 1.2-mile trail provides infill to the city trail system as it parallels Freedom Boulevard, connects with Alta Vista Drive and Main Street, and creates an alternate route to bicyclists traveling on Freedom Boulevard. The trail will be 12 feet wide with an 8-foot travel surface and 2 2-foot gravel shoulders. The Upper Struve Slough Trail is shown as number 9.1. The 0.6-mile trail provides infill to the city trail system as it extends the existing Struve Slough Trail from Pennsylvania Drive to South Green Valley Road. It would also be 8 feet wide. The Green Valley Road street-based trail is shown as number 3.2. The 0.8-mile trail provides a connection between the city and the city's Pinto Lake Park and will include sidewalks on portions of Airport Boulevard and Green Valley Road. The Pajaro Valley High School Trail is shown as number 5.1. The 1.1-mile trail provides a connection between the high school and Airport Boulevard and a much-needed secondary access. This trail would also be 12 feet wide with an 8-foot travel surface. And the rail trail, or the Monterey Bay Sanctuary Scenic Trail, is shown as number 11.2. The trail will be installed within the existing railroad right-of-way owned by the Santa Cruz County Regional Transportation Commission, or the RTC. The RTC recently approved a master plan that calls for 32 miles of trail to be installed adjacent to the railroad from north of Davenport to just south of the Pajaro River. The city is all aboard with the rail trail and is working on 2 projects at this time. The Lee Road segment is 0.8 of a mile in length and extends from Lee Road to the Watsonville Sioux Trailhead. In 2013, the city received a $1,040,000 federal grant from the RTC and a $260,000 donation from the Land Trust of Santa Cruz County for development and construction of the trail. The Land Trust donation includes $50,000 for preparation of environmental documents, which will be used this year, and the balance for construction in the following year. The Walker Street segment is 0.4 of a mile in length and extends from Watsonville Slough Trailhead to Walker Street. In 2014, the Santa Cruz County Friends of the Rail Trail and Ecology Action collected $11,000 in donations from 21 individuals and 6 local businesses from throughout Santa Cruz County to assist with development of the trail. The businesses include California Giant Berry Farms, Fox Racing Shocks, Watsonville Coast Produce, Nordic Naturals, Family Cycling Center, and Socolo Property Management. These 2 trail segments will provide infill by linking existing trails and sidewalks and connect to the Monterey Bay Scenic Sanctuary Trail and other regional trails. The rail trail will be a total of 12 feet wide with an 8-foot travel surface and 2-foot gravel shoulders. Tonight, various donors and supporters of the rail trail projects, including representatives of Santa Cruz County Friends of the Rail and Trail, Ecology Action, the Land Trust of Santa Cruz County, and Santa Cruz County Regional Transportation Commission are present to show their support for the 2 projects. With your permission, I would like to invite them forward at this time to introduce themselves and make their presentation.
Please do so.
Good evening, council members. My name is Piet Cannon, and I'm staff with Ecology Action. And Ecology Action is the fiscal sponsor of Santa Cruz County Friends of the Rail Trail. So thanks to Murray for that presentation. And Ecology Action is a nonprofit that's been in the county since 1970. And our mission is environmental, but our programs are also about health and well-being. And as earlier presentations show, about getting kids active, biking and walking. So Ecology Action has been working in Watsonville for some 2 decades, both on our Bike to Work Day programs and our Safe Routes to School programs. And the Safe Routes to School programs are going into schools to teach kids about bicycle safety and then also encourage them to bike and walk to school as often as possible. So currently we're at 10 schools in the city of Watsonville, and we serve some 3,000 students on an ongoing basis with these programs. And these active transportation programs then also connect to the city's trail system. So the kids need the education and the encouragement to bike and walk, and then they need a safe place to do so. So the car-free paths allow them to do that. And we are happy to be supportive of the city's admirable effort to both design, permit, and build these sections of rail trail. And we feel like the rail trail will be a great boon for the city of Watsonville and will connect the city of Watsonville to the rest of the county with this 32-mile paved path from Watsonville to Davenport. So we're pretty excited to be able to have spearheaded this fundraising effort for the Walker Street section. As Murray said, he listed the businesses. I also want to recognize Anthony Galino from California Giant Berry Farms, which is here today, and thank them for their donation. They obviously are very connected to cycling. They see the benefits as a marketing. They see the benefit in terms of health, in terms of activity, and then also eating a healthy product, strawberries. So it's kind of a win-win situation with so many different benefits to the rail trail. I also wanted to just also recognize that there were some 26 individual donors that donated to the Watsonville section of the rail trail, and they came throughout Santa Cruz County, and then also recognize City of Santa Cruz Council Member Michael Posner for his donation also to this effort. So thanks to the city, and also then I also wanted to thank the Regional Transportation Commission. They're the lead on this project for the Coastal Rail Trail, and let them speak as well as the Land Trust. Thank you.
Thank you.
I am Stephen Slade. I'm the Deputy Director of the Land Trust of Santa Cruz County, and I guess most importantly, who do I give the check to?
Take it.
All right, I'll keep it. There you go, Murray. This is the $60,000 part of the $260,000 commitment we have made, and we're honored to participate and help the city with its really ambitious and exciting plans. The rail trail is part of that, and I want you to know that we are also ready to help with the next segment, so that all the rail trail segments in the city are built as fast as you can get your staff to build them, and as fast as they can find grants, we will find matching funds as well. We are also, just put it on your radar, we're working on building a 5-mile trail system through the wetlands part of our Watsonville Slough Farm out by Pajaro Valley High. And this will go, of course, the rail trail will go right by there. And our board is right now adopting strategic plans, and that's a really high priority for them. And then, then we have to go out and find the money, but that's, we can do that. And, we're very excited by what the city is doing. One of your staff members is a member of our board, and we're just really thankful of this opportunity. So thank you.
Thank you so much for your donation. It's greatly appreciated.
Good evening, council members. My name is Corey Coletti. I work for the Santa Cruz County Regional Transportation Commission. I'm the project manager of the Monterey Bay Sanctuary Scenic Trail project. I'm really pleased to be here just a few short weeks after your adoption of our master plan and to see the project moving along at such a rapid pace. As you know, any grand project, any broad vision takes multiple partnerships, and we are really relying on your staff's assistance, your leadership, in pioneering a rail trail development in Santa Cruz County. In addition, funding partnerships with the Land Trust of Santa Cruz County, Friends of the Rail and Trail, Ecology Action, the involvement of Bike Santa Cruz County. These are all essential to building momentum, and there is such an extensive engagement from the community that we're really excited to see additional partnerships through the various agencies and the various funding interests out there. So I'm really here just to thank your staff, thank you for your leadership, and thank our funding partners for all that they have done and all that they're pledging to do in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other members to speak with us?
Not with money.
Well, people can still talk with us even without money. Any other public input at this time? Yes. And you don't have to have money.
Yeah, unfortunately, as a almost college student, I don't have much of that. I just wanted to say again how much we appreciate this happening, especially as a representative of Pajaro Valley High School, that second entrance or that second access route onto campus is extremely important. It's something that we've been needing for a while, and we really look forward to having that on campus to promote health in the students and also just for safety reasons and ease of access. That and just trails around the city are one of my favorite things about living here. I walk through the trail every day to get to school, and it's, as much as I might, complain about having to walk home or walk to school, it's an amazing place to be able to do so. So I really appreciate everything that you've been doing and working to get more of that here in the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Other comments from the public? Seeing none, back to council for discussion. Councilmember Kaufman-Gomez.
I just had a question with regarding the long-term project. I know that we're looking at it being the rail and the trail, but there are some areas that you can't do both. So can we hear a little bit more in terms of addressing that? Because I know we have trestles, so you could put the train on that, but we wouldn't be able to have the pedestrian on that. So I don't know if we're going to stop short on some of those areas and then they pick up on the other side. What are we doing in terms of being able to make the compatibility happen for walking and trail, the trail itself and the rail?
That's a great question. We addressed a lot of that in the master plan, then did a very extensive analysis of all the crossings. Basically, what's going to be needed is new bicycle and pedestrian crossings over all the major creeks. And unfortunately, that's the costly part of the project. We do have right-of-way to have a trail and the train coexist. So we're very fortunate. There are a couple of constrained areas. Thankfully, there are public holdings in those areas, so we're able to divert off of our right-of-way onto either Caltrans right-of-way or public or state parks, so that we can maintain a continuous trail. It'll be difficult in the short term. We'll have to divert onto city streets, basically where you have crossings that are prohibitively expensive for the near term, and then we'll look at filling those gaps in the long term.
Thank you.
Other comments? Councilmember Garcia.
I just needed some clarification. It's wonderful that we received over $1 million in grants for the Lee Road Trail. However, in terms of the Walker Street rail trail, I see that $11,000 were raised, and I'm sure we're going to need more than $11,000 to complete that. And just wanting some information on that particular trail.
We're appreciative of the donations made for the project, and we anticipate using this money to begin the design process. This will allow us to prepare a package that would sell itself more successfully to agencies providing grants. So it will be used for design and permitting.
Councilmember Hurst.
Future generations are going to look back at this and they're going to say, wow, this was an extraordinary creation. This was a wonderful partnership. How lucky we are to benefit from this access, particularly to the Land Trust Slough Farm. Councilmember Kaufman-Gomez and I had an entire afternoon tour of the facility of the land in trust, and it was just spectacular. And you could see right down into the Lee Road area, and downtown Watsonville was visible, but you couldn't really walk there yet or bike there yet. And so this is going to be a tremendous attribute and a wonderful opportunity for future generations and walkers and dog walkers and enthusiasts of the outdoors and the Green Valley continuation of the path. That's much needed too. You know, I get a lot of folks from Santa Cruz and Corralitos ask me, when are you going to get that bikeway fixed? You know, it's okay when you finally get to Freedom and Green Valley, but before that, out to in the county portion, it's not very good. And then, you know, that whole traffic mess at Harkins Slough and Green Valley Road, you know, this will help alleviate some of the congestion there if we can get more high school students riding their bikes and walking and enjoying nature. So we're off to a great start here, I think. I think this is really exciting and, you know, almost overdue in some ways, but we're so lucky to have partners that wish to help, and it's just a very fortunate, it's just going to be a tremendous thing. And so thank you very much for the hard work that everybody's put into this.
Any other comments? Councilmember Dutra.
Thank you. Thank you for that presentation. And I'm also a commissioner for the RTC, so I represent Watsonville, the city of Watsonville, with these major issues or special issues as well that come in front of us. I'm a big supporter of the trail. I think it's going to get people active, which is really important to me, getting people on their feet. A quick question in regard to the trails. I know that we're receiving grants. How close are we from the city of Watsonville to start the Lee Road trail? Where are we looking?
We will be hiring a firm to assist us with the environmental design shortly. Also, staff will begin design of that trail. We hope to do construction late next year.
Are we timed? Because I believe Santa Cruz also we were one of two cities that received the go-ahead, Santa Cruz being the other. Are we timed with the grants? Do we need to are we on, because I think they may be a little bit ahead of us in getting it off the ground.
I don't understand the question.
Are we, so we're going to be starting, when are we going to, what's the process? We're going to start, are we behind schedule? Because I feel Santa Cruz has already started theirs, right?
You mean they're winning?
No, I don't think it's a win-lose. I'm wondering when Watsonville's going to, if we're going to catch up.
If I can just step in and reassure you that you are not behind.
Okay.
I would say that you are right on, right in step at this point, and you're going to be surging ahead in the very near future. And the funding sources are not tied to each other than it's coming via us. But your different paces can function independently of each other.
And you don't find we're not going to have a problem with any funding whatsoever. This project will be complete. Is that what you're saying?
I'm not saying that.
Okay.
It's hard to make that kind of guarantee. You never know through the environmental process what might be anticipated. We have done an environmental impact report for the project as a whole, so your environmental clearance should really be streamlined. So we don't. There isn't any anticipation of any issue, but until you do a little further digging, you can't guarantee that.
Great. And do you have an idea when this project will be complete and the people of this great city can start using those trails?
I defer to your staff.
We anticipate starting construction late next year and complete it by the beginning of 2017.
Okay. I look forward to 2017. This is a great thing for our community.
Councilmember Hernandez.
I have to say that, trails are an asset to our community, and they contribute to both our economy and our health. So what can be better than, having lots of trails in our town? Second of all, I want to thank all the partners and all the donors that are making this happen, making it a reality. And, I foresee Rails, Trails, and Tails community dog walk in the near future.
Thank you. Any other comments from council? Councilmember Hurst?
Just one more quick one, if I might. When we have our wish list out and we're dreaming, I dream of a trail that goes to the beach, some place where kids could ride from Watsonville out to Pajaro Dunes. So I'm just planting that seed here from downtown Watsonville to the ocean. By bike.
We do have the levee, but...
Oh, yes, I forgot about the levee. It actually runs out there, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
Well, maybe somebody can discover that. Ride a bike on it.
Any other comments from council? Do we, Is anyone would like to make a resolution? I too am very, very happy and pleased with the rails and trails and all of this that's happening in our community. I think the train is going to be great, bikes great, people walking the trails on the slough, everywhere. It's really beautiful and it's an asset to our community. Do we have anyone to make a motion?
I'll move the resolution.
Second.
We have are we doing E and F or?
Yes.
Okay, E and F. Motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Cervantes? Yes. Kaufman Gomez?
Yes.
Dutra?
Yes.
Garcia?
Yes.
Hernandez?
Yes.
Hurst?
Yes.
Bilicic?
Yes. So moved, and we'll move on to our countywide youth violence prevention strategic plan by the Santa Cruz Community Foundation. This is we probably have about a 15-minute presentation here. And we're very glad that you're here to make this presentation. 15 minutes, perfect. Let's go. All right.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council members, City Manager, and members of our community. My name is Jorge Zamora, and I'm a lieutenant with the Police Department assigned to operations. Police Chief Manny Solano could not be here due to a personal matter. He sends his apologies. I want to say that it's an absolute honor to be here today, not only as a member of the Police Department, but as a chair of the Youth Violence Prevention Task Force. The task force is a subgroup of the Criminal Justice Council, also known as the CJC. The CJC has 26 members representing law enforcement, the probation department, the district attorney's office, the public defender's office, judges, city and county governments, county mental health, county schools, Cabrillo College, and nonprofit organizations. In 2012, the CJC identified youth violence as a top priority. From that, the Youth Violence Prevention Task Force came to fruition. I'm sure by now all of you have read the Watsonville Police Department's crime report for 2014. While 2014 proved to be a very busy year, it is important to remember that crime comes in waves. Over the past 10 years, overall crime in the city has actually been declining. Knowing this, we must not let up. We need to prioritize outreach strategies, analyze crime trends, and utilize our collective resources to their fullest potential. As a police agency, we will continue to positively engage our youth alongside our community partners and prevention partners. I truly believe that as a city, we are working hard on all levels to address violence. Youth crime is a serious, sensitive, and multi-layered problem that affects everyone. We do not want another year like 2014. That is why I cannot emphasize enough that the adoption of this plan is crucial. Once again, it is an absolute honor to introduce my colleagues, friends, and now mentors, Megan Joseph, Sarah Emmerich with the United Way, and Chief of Probation, Fernando Geraldo.
I'll take a brief moment. Thank you for your time, council members. Fernando Geraldo, Chief of Probation. I've been here before when we were discussing the city's role in having this become a task force of the city, and I'm happy that we now have a plan that we've been talking about. I just want to mention a few things. I was asked exactly 3 years ago by Chief Manny Solano to get the task force going, to ask if I could chair the task force, and I think they thought I was the right person, overseeing at that point the juvenile division, and having worked with a number of community partners and in Watsonville and a number of different programs, and I was more than happy to do that. However, I knew I couldn't do that alone, so as any good leader does, especially when you're chief of probation. I tapped Megan's shoulder, Megan Joseph here from the United Way as a community organizer, because I knew this would take a community effort, not just the typical folks that show up to meetings, but our youth, our folks that are volunteers and folks in nonprofits, and of course our policymakers and everyone else. But in addition to that, we needed a strong research component because this plan is based on best practices and data. We did a community assessment, and so we reached out to Applied Survey Research to work with us. And so 3 years ago, we started this discussion, and now here we are. This plan really began because we were trying to align numerous and successful efforts that were occurring throughout the county. We have the BOSTA effort here in Watsonville, but we also had the same BOSTA effort in North County, although it was, well, they called them the BOSTA programs, but they're a bit different. Then we had a BOSTA steering committee, then we had a BOSTA intervention group, and so you get the picture, a lot of overlap, and so we wanted to align and unite that. But we also wanted to really make sure that as we moved forward with developing a plan, that we had the voices of an entire community, and this plan truly does, as you'll see, really over 200 stakeholders were involved, 60 stakeholders were involved in personal interviews regarding youth violence. What we have is a plan that we do not want to sit on a shelf and collect dust. We want to put this plan into action where we can use it to leverage funding for implementation that we need. There's a lot of things that we don't need to reinvent because there's many good programs, but we need more of, so you'll see that in the plan. The way I'm supporting this particular plan is really incorporating into our efforts at the probation department, making sure we're aligned with the recommendations of the plan. We've already written 2 grants, and then we were successful with those grants and bringing in revenues using key components of the grant, the voices of the community, and the recommendations. So it's a strong plan. We've already had success, and this Friday or next Monday, I'll be releasing, the probation department will be releasing an RFP specifically for an intervention and prevention for gang-involved youth. So be on the lookout for that. That is strictly going out to nonprofits. So thank you for your time, and we'll keep going. We have only a few minutes.
All right. So thank you for having us back. We were here about 3 months ago, and we're really proud to be back with the plan. And as Fernando mentioned, he tapped us on the shoulder at that time, and we knew from that day that being tapped on the shoulder to coordinate an effort like this comes with a responsibility to make sure that the voices and the people that were included in the plan were diverse and really truly represented the community at all levels. So we were honored to be asked and knew that came with a heavy responsibility that we hope we've fulfilled, and Sarah will talk more about that in a moment. So we're coming back to you with a complete plan that I've heard the issues that arose in the plan also arise in your commitment through the strategic planning process that I sat in on. Things like public safety, the city's image, the well-being of the community, all of those are interconnected and wrapped up into this plan. Economic development, all of those issues that were important to you are definitely reflected here. So we, let's see, is this? Yeah, all right. So we've been here already before with some of these details, but just to remind you that we are taking in this plan a strength-based approach, talking about what we do want and less so about what we don't. We knew we needed to be multi-sector and that the issue doesn't begin or end with law enforcement, although they play a critical role, but we needed to be inclusive and expansive and holistic in our approach. We also needed to make sure that we are addressing everything from prevention, earlier intervention, and suppression. So this is our mission: an equitable and united and safe county where all youth are engaged in family, school, and community, have a sense of safety and well-being, feel they have a voice, are empowered to use it, and are able to access opportunities for successful transition into adulthood. Just a quick reminder that we are a task force of the Criminal Justice Council, and the Criminal Justice Council has passed this plan unanimously. And so now we're taking it to each jurisdiction to pass it so that we truly have countywide support for implementation. Implementation, we'll talk about in a moment, will be tailored, however, to each jurisdiction's particular needs by those in the community on the ground that can identify those needs. So we also just recently, a couple hours ago, passed it in Santa Cruz, and they'll be creating a city implementation body as well. Our steering committee has been diverse. Thank you, George Zamora, for chairing the steering committee and for all of those who participated in our key informant interviews and any other of our processes over the past few years. The model really follows with this broad representation models that other cities have used, while also recognizing the limitations of those models and wanting to tailor this effort to our community's specific needs. And as Fernando mentioned, we've gone through an extensive community assessment process, both quantitative data collected by Applied Survey Research and through the Community Assessment Project, Census, and all of that, California Healthy Kids Survey and other data, but also qualitative data collected from our community partners. We've now developed the plan and are moving quickly into implementation. I'd like to introduce Sarah to talk a little bit more about our community input process.
Hello, council members. So we knew that if we wanted to have a successful plan, we had to focus on a specific population. So we chose to focus on youth ages 10 to 17 and young adults ages 18 to 24. Thank you. In regards to community input, we also knew that not everybody could come to our monthly meetings. So we knew that we needed to come to you and them to gain insight and perspective on the issues of youth violence in our community. So as I said last time, we conducted youth and family focus groups in North and South County, both in English and Spanish, ranging from youth at juvenile hall to youth participating in programming at Santa Cruz High. We interviewed over 60 key stakeholders, both decision makers as well as those doing direct services. We conducted ride-alongs, a countywide online educational survey, and even reached out to those who are incarcerated in Soledad Prison to get their input on the issue of youth violence. And actually, now that we have a plan, we're going to be going back to those that we engaged initially, so those youth focus groups and family focus groups, and engage them and re-engage them on the strategic plan. So through the community input that I mentioned earlier, monthly meetings and events, we've engaged over 300 community members in this process. Our monthly work group meetings represented those from community, education, health, government and justice. Many thanks to those that participated, including the council members that participated in our work group meetings. So our focus area, promoting positive child and youth development, has 4 results or goals. First one, youth are life, college, and career ready. Number 2, youth are valued and have meaningful participation in their community. 3, youth are supported by caring adults. And 4, youth are safe and feel safe in school. Now we're going to be measuring this looking at a lot of different indicators, but some of them include youth in the labor force, youth reporting meaningful participation in the community, youth saying that they have positive relationships with adults in schools, as well as youth reporting weapons on school campus. Now, some of the strategies that we're going to be using to address some of these issues is business engagement, youth employment services, increased knowledge of and access to pro-social activities, as well as safe routes to school, which we'll actually dive a little deeper into later. The Ensuring Supported and Functional Families work group and focus area of the strategic plan had 3 results. So we have families are connected, engaged, and valued. All families have social emotional well-being, and all families are equitably supported by the community. As you're going through the plan, I want to point out that we knew that we couldn't address the issue of youth violence without looking at issues of equity. So in all of our areas, whether it's youth, whether it's families, neighborhoods, or schools, equity is intertwined in the strategies. So some of the indicators or measurements that we're using to see if we're going to be making a difference with these areas is families reporting that they know how to make a positive difference in the community. Families reporting they have somebody to turn to, access to services, And some of the strategies are increasing access to social services, mental health, and substance use disorder treatment, increasing cultural responsivity in programs, and including trainings, and including families in decision-making bodies. So our last focus area, foster safe and vibrant neighborhoods, has 2 results that we really felt was inclusive of what we wanted to address in the neighborhood area. 1, the community is safe and thriving, and 2, the community is culturally and racially aware and responsive. We're going to be looking at those measurements with youth and young adult crime and arrest rates, homicide, gang activity. Also, making sure that the race and ethnicity of youth arrested is, for example, proportionate to the population in the county. Some of the strategies that we really want to focus on to address some of these indicators are working on improving law enforcement youth relationships, strategies such as effective law enforcement strategies, a collaborative initiative that looks at data and policies in both the justice and educational systems.
Thanks, Sarah. So to fly through the next few things quickly, we wanted to just point out how we chose those strategies. They were chosen both through our research on the ground and then our evidence-based practice research. It's based on data and identified local needs, both leveraging what's already here and working, and then integrating recommendations of those with lived experience and all that means, whether that's those that are impacted by violence or former offenders or people that have experience on the streets, and had recommendations for us on how to fill the gap between where we are and where we want to be. We wanted to identify evidence-based practices that we may not have here yet that we need to bring. And then also look at strategies that include programs, yes, but also policies, systems changes, and capacity building. So it may be that the program exists, but that it just needs to be tweaked so it's more accessible, for example. And we really saw these strategies as an opportunity to also heal divides, build new bridges or rebuild bridges that have been broken across sectors, bring people together that may not be used to working together, and have this plan as a common roadmap to navigate together. I'm going to skip right over this. These are some of the highlights that you can see in the plan, but we really wanted to speak specifically to a few that we know are emerging as priorities in Watsonville. One is street outreach. So we are moving with the support of Watsonville PD and Community Action Board and others to bring a street outreach program to the city of Watsonville. And this street outreach model will take a multidisciplinary approach and go leverage what we already have, but go beyond that by really engaging those with lived experience to be on the streets, building relationships, mediating conflict, connecting people to resources that need it, and building those one-on-one connections that are so necessary to prevent and head off violence, and then to also be involved after a violent incident in stopping retaliation. So we'll be hosting a small summit in May that will bring some of the best practices from our area here to hear, so you as stakeholders and other stakeholders from a diverse array of sectors will be able to hear more about the details of what that could look like here, and we'll build that program together. Another priority is youth employment. And we know that research has long shown youth employment can help provide a pro-social activity, help youth feel that they are a part of something positive, have self-confidence, build skills for the future. And we also know locally that employed youth ages 16 to 19 has steadily been on the decline, certainly since the recession, but it truly has not recovered. So we want to also recognize efforts that are already underway through the Pajaro Chamber and Community Action Board. They're already meeting to align efforts and partner on this strategy, and we know that we'll be engaging other businesses and sectors in that implementation piece. And Sarah will talk about 2 others.
Okay, so we know that participation in pro-social activities allows youth to gain positive identity as well as a legitimate status in the community. Throughout all of our youth focus groups, the youth communicated a lack of knowledge about pro-social activities as well as barriers to accessing the ones that they knew about. These can be financial barriers, location, transportation barriers, language barriers, cultural responsivity barriers. We also, it was recognized that the diversity of activities we would like to increase. Not everybody is interested in athletics, or not everybody's interested in art. So really increasing activities that, for example, encourage civic engagement, promote cultural identity, building on the strengths in the community. We heard about environmental ecology or ag science. Many youth that we talk to have never even seen a redwood. So how do we tap into what we have around us? Safe routes to school. So one of the teachers, actually several of the teachers that we spoke with, said that some of the biggest predictors of gang involvement for their students was whether or not they had family to bring them to and from school, or the route that they took to school. When youth don't feel safe getting to school, that impacts school attendance, so truancy, youth feeling like they need to protect themselves, so that can impact weapons on school campus, and youth feeling like they have to make a forced choice in our community. And so some of the strategies for developing safe routes to school is establishing school carpool lists, using environmental design crime prevention, encouraging local neighbors and businesses to kind of serve as eyes on the street, utilizing street outreach workers, identifying safe haven sites. And we heard earlier about the safe routes to school in regards to safety walking and safety biking. And these initiatives can really be tied into a framework and really can be combined to address, both the dangers of cars and as well as the danger of being hit up.
So lastly, but perhaps most importantly, implementation and what's next. So we'll be partnering with the City of Santa Cruz and including Live Oak in that implementation initiative. We'll be working with the sheriff and others to look at the unincorporated areas and other areas of the county where we know implementation is so important. And we'll be keeping our countywide steering committee together under the CJC to make sure that we don't go into silos of our regions or different communities, but there's still that connection that we've worked so hard to build. In the city of Watsonville, we're excited, really excited to partner with you in a mayor's implementation initiative that will bring together the different stakeholders that we know have a unique knowledge about what's needed here in Watsonville and can focus these strategies and prioritize strategies for implementation in Watsonville. And so with that said, I want to bring up Veronice to close us off, and then we'll definitely take questions.
Good evening, Council. I'm Berenice Valentin from the Watsonville Youth City Council. And as you can see from this presentation, the commitment to youth development and youth engagement in the county is evident in the planning process, from the youth focus groups to the youth representatives on the steering committee. As the representative of the steering committee, I was asked daily for meetings to provide input into the plan on a strategic level. This was a positive experience for me, not only because I received so much respect from fellow community members, but because there was not a meeting that occurred where my opinion was not sought out. But my job was much larger than just stating my opinion. I had to conduct research on the history of youth violence prevention, and I had to read through so many pages of data because I needed to ensure the utmost success in what I was saying. Because what I was saying was reflecting the entire community, and I did not take that job lightly. Santa Cruz County is a diverse community, environmentally and racially. We are surrounded by beautiful beaches and mountains and lakes and wonderful trails, and everyone should be able to enjoy them. The county's future could be positive or negative one. It all just depends on the willingness of the entire community to unite and support the youth. Because an empowered youth, given the right opportunities, the future is just positive. Thank you. And I would also like to invite everyone to our community launch event, May 18th, from 4 to 6 at Twin Lakes Church. We will be forwarding flyers to you all. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Bernice. And thank you to everyone here who served as a work group member or steering committee member or whatever role you played. We truly appreciate the all hands on deck and rolling up your sleeves. So we're asking tonight that you accept the plan and move forward with us into implementation through the implementation initiative.
Okay, questions from council? Councilmember Hurst.
As a teacher, a retired teacher, I got to deal with a lot of youth, and many of them were violent. And I'm glad to see a comprehensive plan. I wish we had this plan 25 years ago, and I wish it had already been implemented as well. The real crux of this will be, you got a great plan, I think, will be the implementation and how to hold the partners together, how to expand the partnership base and the accountability and holding everybody to their commitments and trying to find the resources to bring those commitments to the table. But I think, you've got a comprehensive plan, strengthens families. That's got to be one of the keys to reducing youth violence is strengthening neighborhoods, strengthening families, finding ways and alternatives for youth to be engaged in community activities. So I want to thank you and all the other folks, and I'm glad I got to see the plan early on and pieces of it. You got 129 slides in your presentation here. I think it was kind of rushed to try and look at the comprehensiveness of it, but I know that this won't be the last time that we hear about it. And I do hope you'll hold the council accountable and the city management accountable for their roles in trying to be good partners, seek results, have measurable attainments, and help us make things happen. Thank you all.
I think Councilmember Garcia and I attended the Criminal Justice Council meeting. That was really beneficial and great. And with the mayor's task force, I think probably more council members will be involved because we're going to find out who wants to participate and get people involved, and because there'll be many groups that'll be meeting. Go ahead, Councilmember Garcia.
In addition to the criminal justice meeting, I also had a one-to-one meeting with Lieutenant Zamora and asked him many questions. But one question remains for me, and that is, I congratulate you because this is a very comprehensive plan. And I know you keep mentioning the need for implementation. And so my question is, I would suspect there's going to be many challenges and maybe priority challenges. And so for the Watsonville area, I wondered what might be that challenge for implementation, and how do you plan to address that challenge?
Thank you for your question. It's a fine one. I think that firstly, and probably an obvious one, the biggest barrier will be funding and resources. The entire plan looks at not only bringing in the new resources, but really leveraging existing resources and prioritizing those in accordance to the plan. So community program funding and other opportunities where the city makes decisions about funding, we encourage those decisions to support the priorities in the plan and as they're set forth by the implementation group moving forward, and alignment, like Fernando mentioned, with RFPs and things like that, really leveraging what comes in and making sure it aligns with these strategies and recommendations. And we are doing our due diligence and are actively seeking additional resources to provide the staffing and coordination ongoing for the plan. And the fact that we now have a plan that's countywide, we can leverage, we think, grants and resources to bring in. I think the other one is, as Lowell mentioned, keeping people together and rebuilding bridges that may have been broken, building trust among key partners, knowing that we're all going to the same North Star, and even though we may not always agree on how to get there, that we can overcome that, and keeping everyone on the same path will be another barrier that I am hopeful we can cross together.
Thank you, Councilmember Kaufman-Gomez.
The other factor to this too is we are trying to integrate some of the public PSAs, the public information with KON, and I think this will be very good in terms of your publicity because you need to make sure you have a media component to this to get the word out, and that might be a good venue to work with on what a 30-second clip is going to look like that can go out in the media format of the who, what, where, when, and why, and how do you participate, and what resources are out there. So I'm hoping that we can roll that into another form of location for the information to be disseminated.
Great.
Thank you.
I've also noticed that you have PVUSD obviously actively involved, and that's a tribute to them. But is there any outreach to private schools or other schools outside of the school district?
We worked extensively with the County Office of Education and alternative alt-ed as well. Not necessarily our private schools, but definitely our alt-ed schools were engaged through focus groups, and focus groups not only with youth and families, but also with the educators and staff themselves. And we'll continue that. Those are the kinds of partners that locally we can identify those key people that need to be at a local table for implementation.
Thank you. Others? Councilmember Cervantes?
Yes, I also want to thank you for this very comprehensive strategic plan, as well as, being very intentional about your process being that much more inclusive than perhaps we've seen in other pursuits. I'm just wondering, in terms of that, the voices that were included in this report, whose voices did you feel were absent, missing, or maybe didn't have enough time to sufficiently do some outreach and include more of that?
Certainly, we would always love more youth input. We designed meetings to be after school hours and mid-county and invited youth, but frankly, no youth really wants to sit through those kinds of planning meetings. They're just not designed to be that engaging for youth, which is why we intentionally tried to go out to youth that weren't necessarily represented in the data that we had. So, for example, we know with the California Healthy Kids Survey that alt-ed students don't necessarily take that survey. They're not necessarily represented in that data. Neither are youth in juvenile hall. So we went to them. And we did focus groups very intentionally with youth in Watsonville, Evening Center, Juvenile Hall, and other areas of the county. There were certainly certain groups that weren't as present as we would have liked at the table. We tried to get the word out as much as possible and did a lot of one-on-one meetings to bring people to the table. And in the end, it's their choice, and we hope that as we move forward, we can continue to build that trust, and everyone will see the role that they could play in the plan, and that we can keep those lines of communication open. Anyone else from the team? Go ahead.
So one of the other groups that we tried to be really intentional about, and thank you, Kenya, and your team, was migrant ed families. Making sure that we tried to engage them in Spanish as well as in English. And again, it's a numbers game. We were limited in regards to how many focus groups we can go out and conduct. But PVUSD was really successful in bringing families together for participating. PVUSD actually had some of the biggest focus groups for this effort.
And moving into implementation, we have the opportunity to work with you and other stakeholders here on the ground to identify how to engage folks that you see are missing better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think just my last comment before we hear from members of the public has to do with the implementation piece and being sure that we're staying on track in terms of what you mentioned, identifying those funding sources and making sure they're helping us achieve some of the goals and outcomes identified in the strategic plan. I know that our own city strategic plan, we often, when we're seeing a staff report, there's a line in there included referencing our strategic plan and saying, this is how this policy or this spending is going to help us achieve this goal or this outcome outlined in our city strategic plan. And so I would like to see, also a reference made to this plan, and just making sure that it's a way where we can sort of track our own goals and outcomes and helping us achieve this plan.
Thank you. At this time, I think we will ask for public input. Anyone that would like to address the council on this item, please come forward.
Thank you. I'm Reverend Florentino Cordova, again with the First Christian Church, Disciples of Christ here in Watsonville. I sat on one group with this task force and was amazed at the input and the ability for this task force and this plan to be able to change things at a dime is amazing, and to engage the faith community as well. This task force brings in the faith community, but it also addresses the needs of the queer youth, the LGBT youth as well. And so being able to engage that particular group, one of the things that I been trying to do is go engage the youth on the street level. And so this plan gives the opportunity to do that, along with the post incident team that Manny Solano is doing. So I'd have the ability to do both. And so one of the things that I, as a pastor, would like to do is humble myself and go and do foot washing at the streets and just having a conversation with the youth. And this plan actually asks the youth, what is it that you need from us, instead of us adults imposing what we think they need and asking that question. And so I really encourage the city to partner with this plan. Thank you.
Thank you. Other comments from the public?
Good evening again. I just wanted to share and commend the task force for the process that they used in order to create the plan. I can tell you that as a community member and as a leader at one of the agencies, it really brought us together to have a conversation and gave us a foundation to move forward. I'm very hopeful. As you know, I represent community action, and so the biggest challenge is, okay, how do we make this happen? But what I'm most excited about is what this process has created in this community. It has opened conversations with people who had not talked to each other before about this subject. It has brought partners together who had not been at the same table before. And I want to commend the task force and commend the city and the community members who really came together to make it happen. And I hope that with your continued support, we will move into this action phase and make a difference so that we don't lose any more kids in our community.
Thank you for your comments. Anybody else from the community?
Hi, I'm Kenya Edison, and I represent PVUSD on the task force. I just really want to get the word out that it's not just about the money and the programs, but it calls us to look at how we implement policies and right practices. So as a district, it's not much money that we're putting into it, but we're writing policies and implementing practices where we're keeping kids in school and providing resources. And other agencies within the community can do that. If money is not something that they can offer, they can make sure that policies and practices are in place that really set youth up for success.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none, let's come back to the council.
I would like
Motion.
to move approval.
Okay, we have a motion and a
I'll second that, yeah.
Any council discussion?
I just commend all of you, because it takes more than one in order for us to have the synchronize what the situation is about. And I like the fact that we're doing things with continuity rather than fragmented with, I know this works of how it's done, and the whole silo being broken. I think that working out of a silo has been a very difficult process to go ahead and get to a lot of the common goals we all have. And I'm very grateful that we're seeing some of the progress break through that. And then we're looking at this as a bigger picture as a community as a whole. Thank you.
Anyone else? Councilmember Hurst?
Thank you, Mayor. I think this is important work. And I'm glad to hear the focus outreach to the COE and the alternative schools. And you know, I get to hear from a lot of seniors just because of the color of my hair, and they're worried. They're concerned. They worry for their safety. They worry for the safety of their property. They may not be part of the plan, but I can tell you, I hear from them all the time, and they're worried about violent youth and what spills over into their lives, and they worry about the future. Not just their own, but the future of the youth as well. And so I'm not suggesting that component is missing or that it even has a whole lot of relevance into the plan, but I do hear these concerns and these worries, particularly with the new alternative school that's going in on Green Valley Road, which is going to be kind of a big facility, and the senior citizen housing project right behind it as well. And so I know that Dr. Bilicic hears it from her constituents and her neighbors, and there is concern out there in the community by older folks about youth violence, but everybody does need to find that North Star and go toward it. Thank you again for your work here.
I too would have to say that I really appreciate all of the work that the task force has done. I'm very happy that the Watsonville City Council is participating. Although it's called the Mayor's Task Force, that's just a term. I mean, when I'm gone, it'll be the next Mayor's Task Force. But we as a group, are there certain people that really want to be involved in this? If you do, please see me, and we'll make sure that you have opportunity to participate. I think this is really a great thing to try and do, because we know that we have problems with youth, and to talk with them and get their input is so important. We know we need jobs. We know there are a lot of things we know, but I really truly appreciate all your work. And with that, let's get a roll call vote that we accept this plan.
Cervantes?
Yes.
Kaufman Gomez?
Yes.
Dutra?
Yes.
Garcia?
Yes.
Hernandez?
Yes.
Hurst?
Yes.
Bilicic?
Yes. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to item 9.1 is city council members regarding conference attendance as required by Assembly Bill 1234. No action is required, just that it's information. Anyone want to comment on the annual conference for local elected officials? Councilmembers Kaufman Gomez and Hurst attended. Any comments? Councilmember Hurst?
Yeah, I'd just like to thank the council for allowing me to go to that building livable communities. It's very green, and I think everyone on the council could benefit by attending that at one time or another. And it's one of those sequential things that you get more out of the more you go to it. Oscar Rios was a leader in that group, and he brought back a lot of great ideas, I think, and some of those are implemented in this city at this time. So read my remarks if you have time. I spent a little time gathering notes, and it was a very powerful and important conference.
Any other Councilmember Kaufman Gomez?
And I too have made comments about what I've learned from that, and one of the items is a participatory budgeting that I'd like to see move forward, and I'll do a little bit more background before I bring it to council. I would like to see some community involvement, because this is a community decision process. So I'm going to be doing some research, finding out maybe some funding on it, but I would, and again, encourage anybody from the community that wants to give me a hand with that, and help with the spearheading, so we can actually bring it back to council for a recommendation at one point, or a presentation, at least anyway. So it was beneficial, and I concur that you evolve as you sort of digest the data and information you're getting, and then it grows on you from there with more information that you can bring and be more resourceful as a council member and bring it to the community. Thank you.
Any other items for future agenda items that we'd like to see? Councilmember Hernandez.
I know that before we supported AB 2280, but I'm not sure if we've actually put any recommendation for the new version of it, because while I was in Sacramento, the League of Cities urged every city to support Assemblymember Luis Alejo's bill, AB2, which is the new version, the Community Revitalization and Investment Authority, which would give cities the tools to improve their cities, either by a letter of support or a resolution to support AB2.
That may be a future agenda item. Any other? Councilmember Garcia? AB2.
Yes. One of the constant complaints that I've given to Marcela is that I wish that our website was more user-friendly. I had another experience on Sunday. I wanted to review the climate action plan, and I couldn't find it. And thank you to Susie, I was able to finally find it. And I bring that up because my understanding is that the previous council had hired a consultant to do some work around communication, and I wondered if that was going to be coming back to the council soon.
Yeah, what you're getting back from at the council is the Ford and Bonilla contract, which does not include the website at all. There was never a consultant for the website. The website was done by city staff. Brad is one of the people that's worked diligently on it. It is city staff that uploads. We don't have a webmaster. We don't have a point person that is solely responsible for the website, which is why everybody does their best, but not everything is always easy to find. But we're getting better. The Ford and Bonilla contract that you're going to be hearing about, it's regarding our image, more like how to put out a press release that really gets on the paper type of thing. Actually the answer is do not do a press release, do something else. But it doesn't address the website, and the website was all done by city staff. So we're getting better, and I'll keep reminding department heads to make sure their items are easy to find.
I'll just keep complaining.
Yeah. And every time
We'll
you
get
don't
it right.
find one, we'll make it clear. Anybody who has a hard time finding a document, let me know.
In fact, Susie, right away, she added some wording that would help us find what it was.
I agree
Yeah.
that it is difficult for some people that are not familiar. I know Jesse was looking for a rental, like a park rental, and he didn't know where to look on the website, but it's all there. So, yeah.
Other items, Councilmember Kaufman Gomez.
As we've reached almost a half a decade for our current charter, I know that it's been brought up a few times with regarding the language and the clarity of that. And this would be a pretty big project to take on, but I'd like to see us discuss it because there are items on there that are so antiquated, they're not efficient for us for use. And that I know that whatever we make a decision or any of the language corrections, modifications, or changes will still need to go to the voters, but I'd like to encourage us to evaluate whether it would be feasible for us to move forward and identify a few things that we should make some changes and bring it to the public for a vote.
Sure, we're open to a couple of council members working on it and getting it together. I know that you did a markup. I think a couple of council members that work on it needs to decide whether you're going to go for every S or A, because everything has to be voted on, or if you want to focus on a couple things.
Are there people that would like to work on the charter, council members?
I would like to see that, and I think Beatrice would as well, because she's the one that works it up and shows us where the things need to be referenced back and forth. And I think it's come up a few times in some of our decision-making process, so I think it's beneficial for us to consider that as well as having some public input on some of that as well.
I think one thing that we should, if the council agrees, we should bring a staff report to you explaining the process and the cost. And then at that time, you can give direction to us if you want to form a committee, a commission of the public with council members, because it's a process that's going to take a year or so. And you need to decide if you just want to do one or two sections or you want to go through the whole charter.
It's worth looking at and making that decision once we have the information to work off of.
Okay.
Thank you.
Other items, Councilmember Dutra.
I don't know if this has been put on there yet, but I know at the last meeting, the alcohol ordinance was a big issue. Even the nonprofits were like, let's look at it and let's all work together and creating an ordinance that's clear for everybody and everyone's input is included. Has that been brought up? Is that, Marcella? I don't know.
It actually was brought up, but I was very surprised that none of you put it on the strategic plan. It was brought up during the strategic plan hearing, but none of you added it. So it actually, don't think, made it to the strategic plan. Of course, it's still in draft form and you can modify it. But again, this ordinance was crafted with a huge group of agencies and public and restaurant owners and business owners and council members and planning commissioners. So we welcome anybody who's interested in starting that process. Right now, we're going to try to focus on the general plan primarily at the CDD level and the existing projects. So it's actually going to come down to either we work on the general plan or we redo this ordinance. It's two.
Because since that meeting, a few nonprofits have contacted me saying that they would like to, work on this ordinance. So I don't know if that's a priority for the city or if it's something that we need to put on a back burner.
Well, we can't really discuss the item because it's not agendized, but if the council decides when the strategic plan comes back, you decide to add that to the strategic plan, then no, something either needs to come out or not going to get done. We need to talk about it because there's a lot of projects on the strategic plan.
Well, we'll continue talking.
Okay.
Any other items? Seeing none, I also want to thank my colleagues, because I think tonight's meeting was pretty efficient, and I appreciate your efforts and appreciate your help. So thank you very much, and that concludes our meeting.